Hey, patrol members. I got a video that's twofold. One, I'm going to do a whiskey review on Fighting 69th Irish whiskey. And I'm going to do a review on this Lambert 1675 cigar. Right here. Lambert 1675. So here I am, dressed up in my M65 field jacket, my Ridgeway cap with my rank on it. And you notice it's gold, it's not subdued black, because when this hat was um, part of the United States Army uniform, that's what your rank badge looked like. The Ridgeway cap was, you were permitted to wear it with the United States uh, Army fatigues from around 1952 to 1972. And then it went to the soft cap. This was never actual U.S. Army issue. You had to purchase your own Ridgeway hat, but the Army allowed you or permitted you to wear it. So I have a World War I ashtray. Tank here. I have a lighter. That I got from a gentleman who served in Vietnam. Has a map of Vietnam on the back, and it shows Pleiku. Right here, Pleiku, which is important. I'll explain why in a minute. And I'm reviewing the Fighting 69th. The Fighting 69th Regiment out of New York. Basically, New York City. The all-Irish regiment that fought in the Great War. And they were gathered up. They were gathered up when the Great War broke out. They got together. They formed a regiment. When they got over to Europe, they were rolled into the Rainbow Division. But you had to be Irish to be in the Fighting 69th. There was apparently one exception. A Jewish gentleman, I think his name was Cohen. And he was a member of the Fighting 69th. Not an honorary member, an actual fighting member. Because he grew up in that Irish neighborhood, and all those Irish people thought he was great. And when they left to go over and fight in Europe, they allowed him to be part of their regiment. Now, it says here, the Irish Brigade, New York City, gentle when stroked, fierce when provoked. Over here it says, They were always the vanguard of the St. Patrick's Day parade, playing their trademark song, Gary Owen. So without further ado, let's crack this open, huh? And what's it say on the top? The Fighting 69th Irish Whiskey. Let's. Oh. Saints be praised. Oh. Wow. This is the Russian cup was also brought back from Vietnam by a GI. Apparently, the person he got it from was no longer needing it. Oh, let's. That's a stiff drink right there. Oh, man. Man, that has an aroma. That is like, yeah, I can smell that military preservative. A little hint of damp wool. A touch of the preserved stock of an '03 Springfield and the 1917, yes. That canvassy ammunition belt smell. And a hint, just a hint, mind you, of shamrock. Aaron go bra. Ooh, that's got a good hug. May you be in heaven a half an hour before the devil knows you're dead. That's pretty smooth. Got a nice burn all the way down. Now let's get this cigar fired up. How about that? I have my genuine. World War II pocket knife. Bill, how do you know it's from World War II? Well, right here on the blade, you probably can't see it, at the bottom of the blade there, it says Made in USA. That is the only identification that was allowed on pocket knives issued to GIs in World War II. Couldn't say Camelus, couldn't say Boker, couldn't say Keen Cutter, couldn't say Sears, couldn't say any of those things, couldn't say Montgomery Wards. It could only say Made in the USA or just USA. That's all it could say. I don't know exactly why, but I've had several military knife collectors tell me that's the way it was. Razor sharp. I'm going to take the awl. It's a pretty dense cigar. We're going to take the awl and we're going to make a little crisscross applesauce in the back here. Oh, really good. Mmm. Boy, now I'm picking up. Might be because of the cigar, but I swear I smell some freshly lit picayunes. Yeah. Yeah, freshly lit picayunes, or maybe even a freshly lit cremo. Oh, there we go. That's like a freshly roasted growlers. Definitely, definitely. I'm gonna have another, just a touch. Now the real reason for making this video. You all know that I worked at Disney. And for you Disney people watching this, recently, just past couple of weeks, two people I worked with and knew quite well passed away. Carol Morris, who I liked a lot, and a person who had special meaning in my life, Bob Kios. I know Bob was about 80 years old, and Carol, I don't think she was that old. I know she was older than me. So let me talk about Carol first. Carol was a character. She Like you people who knew Carol, you knew she had her ups and downs, right? And she was outspoken, didn't hold back. She was at odds with Disney management quite a few times. But man, if I went to work and I knew I was going to be her RT, rear tram, I knew I was going to be a good day. When we first started working there, you paired up with a driver, and you usually had them the whole day. As time went by, that changed a bit. But when I first started, I would get Carol for the whole day, or I would get you know, Brian Hardwick. I would get all these people for the whole day, and you'd be with them, right? And you get to know them that way. And Carol was a great person. I really liked her a lot. She was just something else. I remember one time I was walking a tram. So when the tram pulled into the loading zone and everybody got off, you were supposed to walk the tram and look for lost items. I mean, that was the deal, right? So I'm walking the tram and I found a full pack of Virginia Slims, right? I don't think there was one or two cigarettes out of the pack. So I go to the front of the tram and I said, "Hey, Carol, I found this full pack of cigarettes, you know. Should I just throw them in the trash or should we turn them into lost and found?" And she looked at him for a second. She was holding my hand and says, "I'll take care of them." And she takes and sticks them down in her brassiere, sticks them down in her bra. "I'll take good care of them, honey." She walked away. But as time went by, you know, she had some health issues and a couple of things happened I really don't need to get into. Not terrible, not bad things, but things that, would worry you. Anyway, she had to stop working for a while. She came and went. But, things get the better of you, and, after a while you stop working. And she left Disney, and then I didn't keep in touch with her. That's my fault. And just recently she passed away. And if anybody else watching this is a really true friend of Carol's or a family member, I want to tell you that I'm really sorry. I really am. So Carol, this belt is for you, and this puff is for you. Whoa. I won't forget you, I promise. And now Bob. Bob was a hell of a guy. I counted him as one of my true friends while working for Disney. He was a Vietnam combat veteran, Silver Star, Purple Heart lieutenant, had his terribly wounded while he was fighting in Vietnam in the 82nd Airborne. He was a hell of a guy. Hell of a guy. And Fred, if you're watching this, I haven't forgotten you, brother. I have not forgotten you. And all you other guys out there around my age working at that time, you know who Fred is. He was in the 101st. He was at Hamburger Hill. He got shot in the face with an AK-47 and survived. Yeah, he was a hell of a guy. Well, he is a hell of a guy. I don't think he's passed. Well, let's get back to Bob. Bob and I got along really well, and we worked really well together. He called me Billy, and I don't allow a lot of people to say that to me. But he was one of the people who was permitted to say that. How's it going, Billy? It's going great, Bob. I only work here to pay my car payment. There was a guy who had no filter. No filter whatsoever. And Bob and I did things outside of work. We had dinner together a few times. He he treated my wife and I to the air show out at Chino, Plains of Fame out there one year. He liked my wife. He always told me how lucky I was to have her as a wife. Hey, you got a mighty pretty wife there, Billy. I could talk to him about anything. So when I heard he passed, that really hit me. When Bob joined the United States Army in the 60s, you can still wear these hats. That's why I have it on today. Got my dog tags. Got my M65. Got my Ridgeway hat. And this is all for you, Bob. Oh. And I got my watch from the Second World War. When my wife worked at Scripps Home, I met a gentleman there who flew B-24s. And during World War II, and I got this watch from him. So according to him, this watch did over 25 missions over Germany, right here. Flak, fighters, you name it. This watch right here was there. And I'm proud to wear it in his honor. I asked him once what was the roughest time he ever had. He really didn't want to answer me, but then he thought for a second, says, well, we were over Berlin. And he said, son, it was rough. You know, and he used the euphemism, flak so thick you could get out and walk on it. And he says, well, I'm not going to use the epithet he said, but he said, those Germans really didn't want us to bomb. He said, when you saw that they were flying their own fighters through their own flak, that meant they were determined. Anyway, we took a couple of big hits, and I had an engine out on one wing, and I had a propeller that was windmilling out of control, a wooden feather, and the yoke was shaking in my hand so hard I could barely hold on to it, and I turned to my co-pilot, and I said, hey man, you gotta Or, hey, buddy, and it's like man in those days, but hey, buddy, you got to help me hold this plane or we're not going to make it back. And when I looked over at him, he had his flight jacket over his head and he was crying. So I knew right then it was going to be a rough trip home. But we made it. So Bob would tell me stories about Vietnam. He wasn't the type of guy to sit around with post-traumatic stress syndrome. Not him. He was one of those, you got to man up. You got to meet those problems head on and defeat them. That's the type of guy he was. I'm not ashamed to say I love Bob. He's a great guy. So Bob, give me a second. To the Army and the Navy and the battles they have won. And here's to the flag of freedom, whose colors never run. And may the wings of liberty never lose a feather. Anyway, to get back to reality, this is great whiskey, the Fighting 69th. I got it at Bevmo if you're looking for it. They might have it at Total Wines and More. I'm going to run over and get another bottle so I have it. If you're any place, the supermarket, the football game, any place, and you see a veteran, all you got to do is say thank you for your service. They're not looking for handouts. They're not looking for anything, especially Vietnam veterans, for except acknowledgement that they sacrificed. They went where they were told to go and they did the job they were expected to do. And if you are the luckiest person on earth and you ever see a World War II or Korean War veteran, shake their hand and thank them. Because some of those people went through things you can't even imagine on your best day. I mean, there's people who are going to tell you that Saving Private Ryan and Band of Brothers doesn't cover it all. So if you're going to want to watch movies about the sacrifice these people made, the movies you should see are The Greatest Raid. That's one. Saving Private Ryan. That's another. We Were Soldiers. That's 3. That's Vietnam. There haven't been any real definitive movies about the Korean War, but there should be. If you can see Band of Brothers or The Pacific, watch those. Another good movie made during World War II that shows you pretty realistic events is 12 O'Clock High and Battleground with Van Johnson. And Go for Broke, also with Van Johnson. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching. I'm going to put together another off-road wrecker video. I had a problem with the camera. I must have hit something and changed the setting. The video is really crappy. I'll put as much up as that worked. In case you're wondering, on the second day, Matt, who arranged the whole thing, this was his idea, one of his best friends passed away at the event. And if you watch any of the videos, if you watch Matt's off-road recovery, go over there, you know, subscribe and watch his videos. If you want, you can say, send your condolences. The gentleman, his name was Robert Blake. He was in charge of security, and he suffered a medical emergency, and he passed away. And that's how it happens sometimes. Hop over to Paul at Fabrats. Go see Fabrats. Watch Paul's videos. Jump on over to Mischief Maker TV and watch Holly. Merlin's Old School Garage, Trail Mater. Watch all those people. They have really interesting videos. And this is going to sound cliche and terrible, but they're like salt of the earth people. Really good people. I've met all those people now. And they live up to their reputation. Especially Matt. You go over to Matt and see Matt and how he interacts with his people, and the young girl Lizzie that works for him. She's an excellent human being. Anyway, go over and see their videos. Like and subscribe if you want to. Leave comments, and if you're watching this video, like and subscribe. I'll poke it in here somewhere. I'm sure it'll be right up. Yeah, right around here, if it's possible. And just click the little bell, so you can get all the notifications, and pretty much that's it. What can I say but thanks for watching.
Ego te absolvo, ab omnibus sensus, et peccatus, in nomine Patris et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
Perhaps their brave young spirits hear the bugles sing. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Slumber well where the shells screamed and fell. Let your rifles rest on the muddy floor. You will not need them anymore. Danger's past. Now at last, go to sleep. And up to heaven's doorway floats from the wood called Rouge Bouquet a delicate cloud of bugle notes, that softly say, farewell, farewell. Comrades true, born anew, peace to you. Your souls shall be where the heroes are, and your memories shine like the morning star. Brave and dear, shield us here. Farewell.